Are you still building custom everything for each and every client? If so, you're probably drowning in client delivery. But the idea of productizing feels like you're selling out. What if I told you that there's a way to scale your agency or your service business without losing the personal touch that gets the client's results? In this video, I'm going to break down step by step how to do it. And in step 3, I'm going to flip how you think about adding recurring revenue to your agency forever. Now, this is in theory. At this stage, we've helped almost 900 agencies and service providers install this exact same system. And it's how they've escaped burnout, taken back control of their calendars, and really started delivering even better client results, not worse. And it all starts here. Step number 1 is really what I say is define your return. Okay? Define your return. Before you tweak your offering, you've got to ask, what do I want the business to return to me as the founder? And I'm not talking about just revenue, but for your time, your schedule, your energy, and what does your freedom look like? Now, I commonly hear owners say, well, Greg, I'll figure that out when I hit X dollars a month. But the honest truth is, you won't. You're going to build a bigger mess along the way. So what's the key move? I want you to set your floor, not the ceiling. Most entrepreneurs are like, I want to make $100,000 profit a month. But when you're building out, like, what does this business need to return to me so that it feels worth it? I want you to actually start with the floor. So let's just say the floor in this example is, I want to take home $30K a month and I want to work 20 hours a week, right? And I also want to take no calls on Fridays, okay? This becomes your filter for every single decision, every single type of client that you bring in. And we have to kind of have this defined up front, because as you start to grow, there's going to be no shortage of opportunities. And a lot of the opportunities are things that you're going to have to say no to. A key part of productizing in the first place is narrowing down to solve the same problem for a specific type of person and follow a repeatable process to get a fixed outcome that you know is going to happen if they just follow the process. So this has to become your filter for every decision that you're going to make. And when that's clear, step 2 is going to become obvious. So step number 2 is to systematize or systemize, whichever you prefer, without being robotic. All right. So most people think that systems will kill creativity. And honestly, that couldn't be further from the truth in my experience. Systems actually let you show up more personally where you would really want a human interaction inside of delivery, not less. So what we typically do is we use a Google Doc or a visual roadmap that allows us to not only show our team the process that we're going through, but prepare our clients. And so early on in the onboarding process, which is really one of like the first places that we do this, is we send them a video that actually starts to prep them for what they're about to experience in working with us. This actually allows us to set a solid foundation for each and every client. And we don't have to repeat ourselves because we've recorded this video and they're going to walk through it. Sometimes it's a series of videos, but it allows us to get to work faster, go deeper, quicker, and honestly with more care, because in this video, we're setting expectations. We're telling them how we work, how to get support, how to win, what not to do, where to go when they need something specific. So every single client comes through and we're kind of leading them on how they are going to get the outcome that they set out to get by hiring us in the first place. So we got to flip from clients pay me for custom work to they actually pay me for clarity. They pay me for confidence. And most importantly, they pay me for outcomes. And when your delivery runs this smooth, it actually becomes so easy to add on recurring revenue, which is kind of like the holy grail for most agencies. And hey, real quick, if you're digging this and you want more behind the scenes strategies and stories from our clients and learn how to productize, go ahead and join our email newsletter. I send out multiple emails every single week. The link is in the description below. Now back to step number 3. Step number 3 is add recurring revenue. Now, recurring revenue doesn't necessarily have to be monthly recurring revenue, but we want revenue that recurs. So the best way that I've found to add recurring revenue is to first start with some sort of project that is more aligned with a one-off thing. And I always like to say, like, you're building some sort of an engine, or you're building a system that you're installing into the client's business, okay? Oftentimes we want to shrink the timeline it takes to install this thing so that they can start to see results faster. So we've had clients actually deliver this in 1 to 2 day sprints. We actually had our webinar implementation project, our webinar implementation product, and it was a 7-day sprint. And so in 7 days, you had a live or evergreen webinar funnel fully built out, automated for you to start sending leads through. And so we look at this first opportunity as a sprint, right? It's a shorter window of time that has a very specific outcome. But what we want to look at is, how do we then transfer them into something that is recurring, which is, if this is a sprint, then recurring is going to be more like a job or more like maintenance, okay? So when we do it this way, clients actually get momentum, and we as the agency get predictability. Now, a common myth here is that retainers are a trap, which they can be when they're custom and there's no expectations. So we want to make sure that you have clear expectations, because it's the unclear expectations that are actually the trap. We want to set the cadence. We want to own the scope and very clearly define it. And that's the benefit of Productize, is there is a very clear and defined scope. And then we want to be the leader to move them through that process. And once you've got that, you're going to start to build a little bit of rhythm. Now, here's the thing. All of your support content, the knowledge that allows you to support them and advise them ongoing after you've installed the system, is actually your next revenue stream. So step number 4 is to sell your byproducts. Our internal training videos that you have, or maybe gave your team, they could become a product. Your client question and answer calls, those can be support for a group program. Most agency owners accidentally have built courses. Like, if you do a service, you probably have some sort of checklist or to-do list. Courses are really just glorified to-do lists. And instead of your team being the one that's executing on it, you can actually have customers execute on it, or members execute on it, where it's inside of a group program and they're following the checklist, and then you're advising and looking over their shoulder. But if you already have these things and you're just sitting on it and you've never sold it, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. The reality is that clients love learning from you. I bet that you answer questions that live in and around what you actually do for your client all the time. So where I see this happening is, you do a specific service, okay? That service for us was webinar funnels. But then we got questions about onboarding campaigns or newsletters or VSLs. All of these things were questions that kind of we got in and around the orbit of the core thing that we did for them, right? As a Facebook ads agency, if you run ads, you might be able to have a program that helps them create better converting sales pages or opt-in pages, right? You could have the Facebook ads campaign come in, but you could have an ongoing service that's more of like CRO and helping them look at the full funnel after the ads and optimize that. So you're probably already advising some of these people, advising some of your clients on these things anyway. Why don't you give them a way to do that and pay you for it without all of the one-on-one time? And all of this only works if your core offer is actually stable in the first place, which brings me to step number 5, and it's to stabilize before you stack. So stabilize and then stack. What I mean by that is, don't chase 5 different offers all at once. Dial in one delivery engine and really get that to a point where leads are coming in for it repeatedly, your revenue starts to be stable, and honestly, you're getting a little bit bored with it, because if it's boring, it's probably more scalable, and if it's boring, it's probably becoming more profitable. Now, once that offer is humming, you're able to then add on these digital assets that kind of amplify and bring people in and start cross-pollinating with existing clients. This is when we actually added our $7 ebook. This is when we started adding a group support membership layer and adding low ticket offers, like pulling out pieces of curriculum like the pre-built automation, and we'd sell those as one-offs. Right now we sell training on our whole messaging playbook. You can get that and do it on your own, or you can hop into our program and get that plus tons of other support on building out what we call an alt agency. So a belief that I kind of want to flip here is that I'm bored with my service, and so I get unbored by doing something custom or something new. The reality is your clients likely aren't bored yet, and your audience isn't bored yet, but you're onto something where if it's stable, then you could start to experiment. Now, if you'd like our help kind of doing exactly what I just said, you can learn more about our program in the link below. And if you want to see what this looks like as you follow through each and every one of these steps, then you should go check out this video.